Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Totally Awake Club, where we're all totally awake. Definitely, for sure. Good morning. I hope everybody's had a good morning so far, or whatever time of day it is for you. Here we go. My name is SJ. I'm here to sew some things. And at the top of the hour, in about 45 minutes, we will be doing a recap of yesterday's D&D session. Um, I say this every time I feel like, but it sure was a session. It some interesting stuff happened, so we'll get to that. In the meantime, as always, we have hexagons to make. So I guess let's jump right into that. Also, coffee. I have a new coffee and it's very tasty. We ordered a peanut butter whiskey coffee from a place called Madrinas. And it's really, really tasty. Alright. Let's roll a dice and make some hexes. Fingers and fabric, if you could both please cooperate this morning. My needles are still downstairs. I did finish sewing the couch cushion. And then I definitely left my needles downstairs. Alright. Everybody hang tight. I'll switch you to the duck screen. I'll be back in a minute. I gotta go get my needles. Okay, let's try this again. You did unmute, right? Yes, I did. I have retrieved my needles. And my other pair of scissors. All right, there we go. Everything is fine. Asha, hear you out there. You are awake? Are you sure? That doesn't seem right. But also, good morning. Dogs had you up early and then you fell back asleep. That doesn't explain why you're awake now. Go back to sleep again. It's fine. Ooh, green Carby. Very nice, very nice. Ah, yes. Fair. Reminder, everybody take your meds if you need to. Alrighty. Oh yeah, I'm a big fan of this blend. little bit of thread chicken as a Good morning, Calico. Welcome in. Hopefully you're having a good Sunday so far. Hello, Kara. Good morning. Is everything okay? I heard a lot of banging. I didn't hear screaming, so I presumed you were probably okay. Also, this new coffee is delicious. I highly appreciate it. Hello, Kate. Good morning to you, too. The cuddly variety of Kate. Why are needles so stabby? I mean, to be fair, they're supposed to be stabby. Stabby is kind of their purpose. That is what they do. They are supposed to only stabby fabric, though, and not stabby people. I guess they may also be allowed to stabby bugs, but only in the hands of a trained professional. Reminder that there will be a D&D recap in about 15 minutes at the top of the hour. So if anyone needs to grab refills on their drinks, run to the bathroom, etc., should do so before then. Right, enough. MERP has been called. A MERP. Morning, kits. Lurking is excellent. We encourage lurking here. scissors. Alright, there we go. That's another 7. Little bit of a shuffle. I can manage to keep them all in my hand. Alright, there we go. Alright, so it's 11 a.m. So yesterday in D&D, we had just returned to Phandalin after clearing out the Axholm fortress so that the townspeople have a place to evacuate to if they need to. If in case of yet further dragon attack. As we headed back into town, the innkeeper had sort of flagged Bram down and let him know that his niece had dropped off a loom for him, and that he needed to please move it right away. So Bram went off to do that, and Arendelle, who had at some point during the journey home replaced Tikarn, Arendelle went with him, just because she was kind of curious about what this thing that he was moving was and how this was gonna go. Glint immediately ran off back toward the manor to go check on Darren, because as a reminder, when we left town, he was very badly injured and in fact missing one leg due to the previous dragon attack. So she went running off to go check on him. So Basil and Phalar and Marcella went to go let the town master know that we had indeed cleared out Axholm and officially turned in the quest. So they headed for the town master's house and knocked on the door. There are still 3 quests on the quest board. One of which is the Axholm one that we just completed. One of which is the it's a supply delivery to the logging camp, which we know that Merrick and Kella and Gundred had tried to do and quickly retreated when they saw the green dragon there. So that quest notice is still on the board, and it's been amended. Like there's a little like notation at the end of it that's like 1 attempt failed, possible dragon sighting, reward tripled, which is really nice since conveniently that's where we were planning to head next to take care of this green dragon. And then there's also still a notice on the quest board for taking care of some bandits that are out by Wyvern's Tor. We have not yet gotten around to that one. I'm not sure if we will, but it is still on the quest board. So Phalar knocks on the door, and the town master, there's some shuffling around inside, and the town master shouts through the door like, what do you want? Are you here about a quest? And Phalar is like, well, yes, actually, because we finished one. We've cleared out Axholm. So the town master opens up not the door, of course not, but he opens up his little, like, slot that he has in the door and kind of peers out through it. Phalar can see, like, one eye, and probably, like, an eyebrow kind of peeking through the slit. And the town master's like, okay. You have any proof? And Phalar goes, yes, we have brought the signet ring of the last Castellan, which Marcella produces with a flourish to show the town master. And he kind of peers at it and is like, okay, good. Hand me the quest notice. So Phalar dutifully takes it off the board and slides it through the slot to him. And the town master's like, okay, and starts paying out, 1 platinum piece, 2 more platinum pieces, 2 more platinum pieces, kind of, sliding them through the little slot, so that Phalar can gather them up for a total of 25 platinum pieces, which was the reward for doing that quest. Meanwhile, Bram had managed to wrangle the loom back to the manor, because he's planning to sort of install it in the cart and then rig some sort of an awning, because the cart is just an open cart, so he wants to rig like some kind of a nice canvas covering over the cart to be able to keep the loom and other contents of the cart dry and weatherproofed. And as he's sort of hauling the loom into the manor, he can hear Glint talking with Celadar, and it's just kind of catching the gist of a conversation down a hallway. But he can hear Glint being like, but, and Celadar's like, no, he's resting. You can see him later. Let the man sleep. He needs his sleep. And Glint's like, fine, but I'm staying right here. And she, like, pulls up a chair and plops down right outside Darren's door. So the other 3 return to the manor, and we kind of fill Celadar in. Phalar decides to help Bram rig up this canvas canopy for the cart, and over the course of that, they also kind of fill Celadar in on Axholm, because Bram's a little bit not worried, but Bram, he likes to try to plan for contingencies, and he's like, he's not totally certain that the town master won't just completely drop the ball in the event that an evacuation actually does need to happen. So Bram wants to make sure that Silidar also has the information about Axholm, so that if it becomes necessary to evacuate the people of Phandalin, there's somebody else besides the town master that can step up and take charge if they need to, and if the party doesn't happen to be here. So, you know, just for contingency and redundancy, he wants to make sure Silidar also has this information. But as we're telling Silidar about this, Silidar's like, now, in talking about evacuation, I have an idea. And he kind of goes over to his map, and he's like, so the gnomes have already built a railway between Phandalin and Nomengard, which is kind of like here on the map. So Phandalin's up here, and then there's a range of mountains that goes down along here. And there's Nomengard, and the gnomes have built a railway. Well, not a railway. They've built tracks in between Phandalin and Nomengard so that they can wheel the big, like, dragon fighting ballista that they're building, so they can, you know, wheel it back and forth. And Axholm is kind of down around here in, like, that same mountain range. So it's, like, kind of here. And Silidar's like, well, what if we asked the gnomes to build another rail, or another line of tracks to Axholm, which would make evacuating a lot faster if it becomes strictly necessary. And Bram's like, that's actually a really fantastic idea, Silidar. That's great. Would you be willing to talk to the gnomes about it and see if they're willing, you know, perhaps to do that? And Silidar's like, well, you know, they might ask for financial help, but, you know, I'll talk to our gnomish gardener and have him pass a message to the gnomes at Nomengard, and we'll see if we can start getting this set up. So that's a cool thing that might be happening. Because that would make evacuation of both people and more, like, items, possessions, a lot easier than trying to go just overland by, you know, cart or foot or whatever you can find. Especially in the event of a dragon attack. So there's that. Meanwhile, Marcella and Arendelle and Basil have decided they're going to spend their evening and go out drinking. So they kind of go out on the town, and the only real drinking establishment in town is a bar called the Sleeping Giant. Like, you can technically get alcohol at the tavern, like at the inn, but it's gonna be like a mug of mead with your meal. Like, it's not really a drinking establishment. The only real, like, bar in town is the Sleeping Giant. So they head for the Sleeping Giant. Kite and I do some quick mental math and make sure that none of the people walking into this bar were any of the ones that were involved in the bar fight there many moons ago. Well, many moons ago in real life. Like, 2 weeks ago in game, if that. But no, none of them were. Okay, so it was a while ago. It was 1 moon ago in game. Yeah, that's true. That was pretty close to the start of the campaign. Because, as a reminder, because again, this was a while ago, this bar used to be, like, the main hangout of the Red Bands, and they had kind of driven all of the other regular, like, townsfolk patrons away and kind of made it their, like, official, unofficial hangout. So in the course of clearing out the Red Bands, there might have been a bar fight in here. Bram and Glint were definitely involved. So luckily neither Bram nor Glint is heading into the bar. So Marcella, Basil, and Arendelle walk into a bar. I wish this was the setup to a good joke. It's not. The the bar is empty. Yeah, two cats walked into a bar was the plan. The result was bar fight. But no, on this evening, there aren't any other patrons, it seems. There is a dwarven lady that above table we know is the owner, but, you know, even in character, it seems like she's kind of the one, like, she's got the air of she knows what she's doing. She's kind of, not quite bustling, but she's moving around, you know, cleaning tables, keeping an eye on things. And then behind the bar is a tiefling. And he, as our heroes walk in, the tiefling kind of perks up a bit and is like, hey, you know, welcome to the Sleeping Giant. You know, Wheel of Fortune's my name and serving drinks is my game, and what can I get for ya? And off to the side, the dwarven lady is just kind of nodding her head like, yeah, that's good, just like we rehearsed, good job. Kind of thing. So they go up to the bar, and as our hero and two suspicious women. I mean, yeah, all three of them are rogues, honestly. It's fine. Everything is fine. I mean, I guess Marcella's technically a bard, but she counts. Fine. So Wheel of Fortune looks at Basil first and is and as a note, there's a black, like, rock kind of thing just like sitting in the middle of the bar. Not doing anything, just kind of sitting in the middle of the bar. So Wheel of Fortune kind of grins at Basil and he's like, what can I get for you, sir? And if Basil's like, I don't know, whatever you've got that's really strong. So Wheel of Fortune is like, are you sure about that? And Basil's like, yeah, strongest drink in the house. And Wheel of Fortune's like, okay. And kind of looks over at the dwarf, and when the dwarf nods, he reaches under the counter and pulls up this cask of something, uncorks it, pours a mug of the descriptive word was sludge out into a mug and kind of slides it over to Basil, and gets payment. I believe this drink was 2 silvers, so Basil hands over the 2 silvers. And Basil's immediately kind of like, oh no, what have I gotten myself into? But it seems to be drinkable, so he takes a sip, and it, like, burns going down, like, he makes the constitution check not to gag, but it's like a near thing. It's like thick. It like coats the back of his throat. But it sure is strong. Old dwarven recipe. Very strong. Very good. But Basil's kind of like, well, I paid for it. I'm gonna drink it. And kind of like nurses it. So then Wheel of Fortune turns to Marcella. And is like, and what can I get for you? And Marcella's prepped for this. Marcella's like, oh crap, what was the exact drink name, Kate? Coping mechanism? Yeah, Marcella wanted a coping mechanism on the rocks. And Wheel of Fortune kind of blinked a bit, but seemed to know exactly what she was talking about. And he was like, okay, I have just the thing for you. So he pulls a bottle down from the shelf behind him, and pulls out a glass and you know, pours up a drink, and then produces this like cube. I kind of missed this part. Kind of produces a cube from under the bar and drops it in the drink, and the drink immediately starts fizzing, which is kind of exciting, you know. And the whole time, Wheel of Fortune is doing very theatrical flourishes, and like he's a very entertaining bartender. He is decent at his job, it seems. So he, you know, he mixes up this drink for Marcella and slides it over to her, and she, you know, pays for it, and she thanks him, and she takes a drink of it, and it, despite the drink itself being freezing cold, it like burns going down. Like, it's a strong drink, but it's kind of a surprisingly tasty drink. So she's pleased with that. And then Wheel of Fortune turns to Arendiao. It's like, and for you, my lady. And Arendiao asks about any sort of, what sort of wines or such drinks this establishment might have. She calls it a backwater, but Wheel of Fortune kind of takes it in stride. And says that they've got a house wine that he can serve, or they have a locally made cider. And, hard cider, of course. And Arendiao asks for a sample of each. So he bargains with her and says, all right, I'll tell you what, give me 1 silver and I'll give you a shot of each so that you can try them. But, I'm not just going to give you samples for free. And Arendiao deems that fair, so she passes over the silver. He passes her a shot glass of each. And the wine, it turns out, is like very, very light wine. Like, it's wine that's been watered down with grape juice. And, like, it's maybe 2% alcoholic, if that kind of thing. But the cider is actually pretty good. Like, the cider is crisp and fresh and actually fairly decent. So Arendiao's like, okay, this is not actually bad, and requests a glass of the cider. And at this point, Basil has noticed that every time Wheel of Fortune makes a drink, he kind of theatrically passes the glass over top of that black rock that's sitting on the bar. And so Basil's like, well, I've got a question. Like, what's up with this rock? Like, what's this rock? And Wheel of Fortune's like, oh, well, this is a bona fide petrified giant's toe. And it's how this establishment got its name. The owner of this establishment purchased it in Neverwinter and was told that it would bring the establishment luck. Which it doesn't seem to have, but whatever. Not that he said that. That's me out of character. And Basil's like, huh, interesting. Are you sure it's a petrified giant's toe? Kind of like halfway addressing that question to the dwarf. And the dwarf's like, yeah, I got it from a big Catman merchant in Neverwinter. Which us as players above table know to be Tony, who we have met before. And Basil has also met Tony before separately and knows that he's a reputable seller and wouldn't swindle somebody. So, okay, yeah, that probably is a giant's toe then, sure. But out of curiosity, Basil asks how much she paid for it. And the dwarf kind of motions him closer so that she can say it more quietly, and it's like, I paid 250 gold for it, and it's already made that back for me. And Basil's like, okay, cool, you got a good deal. I'm glad to hear it. And then the evening just kind of devolves into card and dice games, just friendly games between the three of them. They're bonding, they're drinking, they're having fun. It's good. Because Marcella when she goes to order her second drink, Marcella also asks Wheel of Fortune, like, hey, so what time do the miners start showing up to drink? And Wheel of Fortune's kind of like, oh, well, we don't really get many miners here right now, because this place kind of used to be the stomping grounds of kind of a rough crew, and it kind of drove all the miners off. And, like, the dwarf is, like, frantically, like, making motions for him to shut up, and he's just not getting it. But, maybe now that the red bands are gone, the miners will start trickling back to drink. Who knows? But there's none in here tonight. So, our three just kind of socialize amongst themselves and play some card games and have a good evening. And so passes the night. They eventually stumble back to the manor to sleep. Bram and Phalar, between them, manage to get a canopy up over about half the cart, but that's enough that it'll protect the loom and probably a person or some of the cargo in the event of bad weather. And that was Bram's main concern, was to rig up a way to protect the loom. So this from weather and rain and such. So this works. And so we all head to bed. Glint is persuaded to finally go to sleep, rather than sit outside Darren's door. In the morning, we get up, we have breakfast. There are surprisingly few hangovers going on. And Glint finally does get to, like, poke her nose in and say hi to Darren, because he does wake up in the morning. Darren is understandably still kind of getting used to his new one-legged situation, and Glint is trying very hard to be positive and look at the bright side. And she promises to keep an eye out for any artificers that might be able to make Darren a new leg. Because that's a thing, right? That totally is a thing that happens. And Darren's just kind of like, okay, kiddo, you do that. And Darren also asks about Lash, kind of like, Glint totally doesn't get this, but above table, Darren was kind of thinking of passing his greatsword on to Lash, because Lash is the only one of us that he knows of that uses, heavy two-handed weapons like that. But Glint informs him that no, Lash has already left. He's gone back to Wave Echo Cave with Gundred to investigate the forge. But we could send him a message if you want. And Darren's like, no, that's okay. Never mind. And Glint's like, alright, well, if you change your mind and you want us to get a hold of Lash, let us know and we can do that. And then she thinks of something, and she sort of rifles around in her pack and pulls out her little pouch of buttons. Because as a reminder, Glint is a tabaxi with the heart of a crow. And she has a large collection of shiny things, including a collection of buttons that she's gathered from God knows where. So she digs through her little pouch of buttons and picks out, not the prettiest button, but a sturdy button. Like a good, solid stone button that's, gonna be reliable and sturdy. And she doesn't, like, cast a spell or, like, actually bless it, because she only kind of knows what she's doing, but she, like, holds it in her hand and, like, concentrates on it, all of her hopes and wishes for Darren to get better. And then she hands it over to Darren and goes, here, this is for getting well. This is a charm for getting well and for good luck. And Darren humors her, bless him, and he's like, thank you, and takes the button from her. Glint's like, well, keep your chin up and rest as much as you can. I know you'll be up and about before you know it. And in the meantime, we'll protect the town until you're back on your feet. And Darren kind of winces a bit and looks down at his one foot, and is like, I don't know that I have feet to stand on. But Glint, being Glint, kind of realizes her mistake, but then doubles down, and she's like, no, I know you'll find a way to get up again. You'll be up and about before we know it, because you're strong, Darren, and you'll be okay, because you have to be. And Darren kind of realizes, like, how upset she is, and sighs a bit, and reaches up as though he's gonna pat her head. So Glint, being Glint, leans down so that she's in reach and so that he can pat her head. And while she's bent over, she kind of spontaneously hugs him. And because she's hugging him, she can't see him roll his eyes. But, he humors her. He kind of pats her shoulder a bit, and then she stands up and heads out. So we don't have anything else to take care of in town, so we head out bright and early. It is a 3 days travel back up to the logging camp. Nothing unusual happens at all during the travel. We are getting very close to the full moon, but that is a problem for later. In fact, it's a problem for tomorrow, because the full moon is the night of the 30th, and we arrive at the logging camp on the 29th, the morning of the 29th. So we approach it from the southwest and decide that Phalar should scout ahead with the Arcane Eye, because that worked pretty well doing the scouting in Axholm, and it would keep any of the rest of us out of danger. Because, you know, we have people that can turn invisible and stealth and go in and scout, but we already know that dragons can usually see through spells like illusions and invisibility, and if they did manage to, that would put whatever person was doing the scouting at risk. Whereas with the Arcane Eye, even if they see the Arcane Eye and realize that somebody is, you know, watching them or scouting, it's just the Arcane Eye. It's not presenting any sort of a physical immediate danger. To be transparent, that wasn't what you and Randus were checking on the calendar. Oh, I know. I know Light's up to something. And you need to... Above table, Kitte, my presumption is that you and Randus have already worked out Light's entire adventure and have it, and you're just kind of matching up with what the party, you know, as the party is advancing, you're matching it up to what you already know is happening to Light. Is my presumption. Yeah, so Phalar goes into scout. The logging camp is... I mean, it's a logging camp. Oh gosh, no, we've barely talked about it beyond working out how many days travel each bit is. Oh no. Well, never mind then. So the logging camp is a logging camp. It's a clearing in the woods. There's a river that runs along the northern edge. There's a cabin that's still fairly intact. I mean, it still seems secure. Phalar gets the Arcane Eye up to look in the windows, and it looks like the windows at least have been barricaded, in the sense that furniture has been moved in front of the windows to try to keep either anybody from looking in or anybody from getting in. So TBD, maybe there's still people alive barricaded in the cabin somehow. Maybe it's being used for another purpose. TBD. Don't know. The green dragon is kind of loafed, curled up in the center of the clearing, and Phalar makes sure to steer the Arcane Eye well away from it and doesn't approach too closely. At the river along the northern edge, the green winged kobold is standing at the edge of the river talking to one of the grung, who's kind of halfway out of the river. And there's also, I believe, another kobold that's like crouched behind a wood pile near the cabin. So we have sightings on 2 kobolds, 1 grung, but there's also a lot of like dark swimming shapes flitting back and forth in the river, which we all presume to be yet more grung. So Phalar, you know, returns the Arcane Eye and reports all this back to us. The problem with approaching from the direction that we came in is that there's a bit of a cliff that sort of rings this bottom corner of the logging camp, and we would have to either climb down the cliff, or there is like a ramp to get down, like a natural sort of incline where it's shallower, but we would all have to like bunch up to get down that ramp, and it's like directly in the dragon's line of sight. So we would be, sitting ducks for dragon breath, which is not ideal at the start of a dragon encounter. So after enough debate that Randus got mad at us, we made the determination, like, okay, let's back away, let's back off, circle around to the east, and actually come in from the other corner instead, because it's a lot clearer. It's just tree line. There's not that cliff to worry about, so let's come in from that direction. There was a little bit of ideas thrown around on, like, okay, can we cause not like a diversion but a distraction? Can we get the kobold away from the dragon? Can we try to, like, isolate the and so the other thing, from Phalar's description of this winged green kobold, Bram and Glint both recognize it as a green kobold that we have fought, probably the same green kobold that we fought before. And so they're able to warn everybody else, like, okay, if it's the same one that we've encountered before, she's a powerful sorceress, so be careful of very big magical attacks from her. Because she's magical, she's a sorcerer. So everyone at least has that warning regarding the kobold. So there's a little bit of discussion of, like, can we get the kobold off by itself? Can we isolate it? But unfortunately, she's standing like 40 feet away from the dragon, so anything we were to try to do, she's far enough from the tree line that we can't really lure her without getting closer anyway. And anything we do is also going to attract the attention of the dragon. So we just kind of YOLO and decide to head in. We do try to stealth. We do try to spread out a little bit, so we're not completely all bunched together going in. Arendiao stealths her way a little bit ahead of everybody else, and when she does so, there's she feels like a tremor in the ground, and like the almost as though the dirt under her feet is like shifting a bit, and then this giant, like, it looks like a cricket mole, like this giant bug, yeah, like a cricket thing with, like, antlion thing with, like, giant mandibles, just erupts out of the ground, not under her, fortunately, but right beside her, and tries to take a swipe at her. This seems to be, I would guess, the dragon's security system, that they've kind of been ranged here to, attack anybody that approaches. Because very quickly there are 2 more of them popping out of the ground. Luckily they don't seem to be very sturdy. Between a magic missile from Bram, the psychic blades from Arendiao herself, firebolt from Phalar, a sacred flame from Glint, and then an actual lance stabbing from Bram. We managed to take out 2 of them. There is still a 3rd one that's lurking a little further south, menacing Marcella and Basil. However, we have now, of course, lost the element of surprise. The dragon kind of booms the, how dare you invade my territory? Rush them all, kind of thing. And the dragon takes to the air and comes flying over and does a dragon breath on Arendiao and Bram. So that's fine. Bram manages to save, but Arendiao does not. So that's some poison damage. The kobold casts spike growth on the ground right under Bram and Arendiao. So that's a future problem that we'll have to maneuver around. Glint casts a guiding bolt at the dragon that misses. Phalar casts a chromatic orb at the dragon, which I believe hits for some fire damage, so we know at least that it does seem to take full fire damage. So again, we're learning. We're compiling. Like I said, 2 of the 3 mole creatures are dead. Yeah, and then we ended combat at the top of the round because it was getting late. So we are, in fact, in the midst of dragon fight and kobold fight and grung fight and giant cricket mole fight. But it's fine. We're fine. Everything is fine. This is what we do. So yeah. Our next session will actually be in 3 weeks. Because Kara and I are busy in 2 weeks. And since, you know, we're in the middle of a giant, like, plot important dragon battle, it would be nice if everybody was there. And playing 3 weeks from yesterday does, on the 8th, does seem to work for everybody at the moment. So hopefully it remains that way. So we'll be playing on the 8th. And then we'll be playing again 3 weeks after that on the 29th. Because normally we'd be playing on the 1st and the 14th. The 1st, Kara and I are busy. And the 14th is Desert Bus. So essentially we're canceling the next 2 sessions and playing the week in between them instead. It works out well. So yeah. It's fine. I'm sure the dragon fight will go well. So TBD, tune in next time, or rather tune in 3 weeks to see, I'm sure, the thrilling continuation of the second dragon battle of 2025. I don't think I missed anything, Kite. Did I? We did spend quite a bit of time debating what we were going to do, which I don't mind, but apparently Randus does. I mean, I get it. We only play every 2 weeks. We want to be able to move things ahead. Yeah, fun and exciting times in the logging camp. I wonder if there's more mole creatures. That'll be something fun and exciting we can find out. Finish up this seed break. Already almost noon. Reminder, if you're in a time zone where you should eat something, please go eat something. Alright. Making progress. I'm gonna go take my break. Everybody else get up, stretch, grab refills on your drinks, run to the bathroom, all that good stuff, but don't go too far away. I will be back in just a few minutes. Yeah, the owls are very cute. I like them quite a lot too. All right, welcome back. Hopefully everybody had a chance to have food and beverages and bathroom breaks. All right, laptop, wake up. Rise and shine, I need you for chat. Ooh. Kara. Oh, goodness. Loud. Kara, the next time you feel like getting up, you should grab one of those ginger cookies and eat it. And then drink that peanut butter coffee. That's really good. That is a good flavor combination. Alright, where was I? There. This edge. to log out and log in to get things to load? Yeesh. I'm glad you're back. Kits is returned. Hello, Kits. This is your reminder to eat. You have not. Excellent. Perfect reason to sojourn. You flop? No, you must make food. Then you can flop. Food first, then flops. There we go. Or attached. Time to make more. Endless hexagons. I live, I flop again. Hey, you should commission Kara to cross-stitch that on a pillow. Really? Oh dear. Old enough for soup and bread? Excellent. Sort of soup. Ooh, also, Kara, reminder that we have apples. We have delicious apples. Chicken gnocchi soup? Oh my god, that sounds amazing, Merlin. Sounds delicious. I love gnocchi. Putting them in a soup sounds perfect. Ooh, farmer's market. That's exciting. Good morning, Randus. Well, no, actually. Good afternoon, Randus. I just assumed you had slept in. Hope you found some good stuff at the farmer's market. Is it a new duck pool? It is. They've released a new DLC duck pool. So I figured we'd watch this one for a while. The camera on it isn't as optimized, but it's fine. Actually quite nice. I like the ambiance of it. It's like the Greco-Roman inspired hot spring kind of place. Oh, as a note, Randa, since you are planning to watch the recap later, I started a little bit late, so the recap is about 45 minutes into the VOD instead of an hour in. Oh no. A kid decided first thing in the morning is the best time to practice their new recorder in the parking lot? See, that tells you the parents can't stand it either, and so they sent the kid outside. But woof. But yeah, yay farmers markets. Kite can attest we dragged them along to ours when they were visiting. Oof. 3 consecutive notes in a row total. Oh dear. Oh dear. Maybe best just to let them flail on someone else's time? Yes, exactly. The parents sent them out into the parking lot. You know, if the kid was smart, they could turn this into an opportunity and just be like, hey, if you pay me $5, I'll stop. Although, I vaguely remember back when we were learning recorder in like grade 2 or 3, I think we had like practice sheets where we had to like write down that we practiced for like 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever and have a parent sign off on it, and then we had to turn it into the teacher. I always forged those. Oh. Yeah, I was never I was always like too scared. I was that kid that was like super shy and never wanted to be in trouble and never wanted to have like any attention at all. I was the very much the goody two shoes. Because I was like terrified of getting thrown in, I don't know, elementary jail, whatever. I love painting my nails, but I swear to God sometimes it makes me more clumsy. Or at least it makes me feel more clumsy. Sounds like a good reason to keep doing it. What, so that I can be clumsy? Look, clumsy with a needle is not exactly something that I aspire to. Oh, so that I can get over being clumsy. Maybe. Oh, I did finish sewing the couch cushion. 1 of 4 is now complete. And I think we have all of the fabric we need for the other 3. Need to get them completed. Oh, I think Kara's grinding coffee beans. I'm like, what is that noise? I know you all can't hear it, but there's like a weird noise coming from downstairs, but I think it's the coffee grinder. That would make sense. Oh yeah, Merlin, did you miss me saying that I have a peanut butter whiskey flavored coffee and it's delicious? Remind me later and I'll send you the link.